Good morning, everyone. I'm Julie Faryniarz. I'm the Executive Director of the Greenwich Alliance for Education. And we're going to take 1 second. I want all of the panelists to see who they're going to be speaking to. And then what we're going to do is Missy Brown will be the moderator of the panel. So we'll be handling your questions and guiding our conversation. But I first wanted you to just see the amazing students that you're going to be speaking with this morning. So everybody show your classes. All right, everybody, wave to the camera, wave to our panelists. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, everybody.
All right. Thank you, thank you. All right, now I'm going to pass off the control of this meeting or over to Missy Brown. And just really quick about Missy. Missy was the first teacher of the pioneer at Greenwich High School for AVID. And how many classes have you had of AVID since?
Well, I had Domna's class,
Right.
and I helped out with 2 other classes in between maternity leaves, and then I have the class that I'm currently with now.
Okay, excellent, very exciting. Okay, so I'm going to shut my video off and mute myself.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Julie, and thank you to all of the panelists who have volunteered their time to be with us today. And the Alliance in its 15th year of supporting all sorts of educational programs in Greenwich, but especially AVID, is so fundamental to making this happen, which has been so great for our kids. So what I'd like to do is ask the panelists to start simply by just saying their name and, maybe like what your career is to start for a quick overview. So just those 2 things. And then I'll ask each of you to go more in depth with some of the questions Julie sent out to you to prepare for this conversation. So I'll start with Domna, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Yeah, I'm Domna and I was in AVID. I'm in New York City and I work as a sales engineering manager for a software company called FullStory. It's an analytics software.
Awesome, thank you. Aamina.
Yes, good morning. My name is Aamina Ahmad and I am an attorney. I am an attorney for the town of Greenwich and my official title is Assistant Town Attorney.
Okay, Aamina, thank you. Alec.
Hi, my name is Alec Faryniarz, and I work in the proposal management group for Collins Aerospace. So I help facilitate contracts for repairing and, building new airplanes.
Thank you. Leslie.
So my name is Leslie Dobryn, and I am a nurse, but I'm currently working as, and I'm teaching for UConn Stanford. I'm a nursing professor, and I teach clinical nursing at Greenwich Hospital, but for UConn Stanford.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, so as you're introducing yourselves to the kids in the room here and the kids with Miss Lou, you've got 12th and 11th graders as your audience. College is very much on all of their minds. They're at different phases of the process of preparing for it, but if you could, when you're introducing yourself to a greater extent, keep that in mind, because that's your audience and what they're thinking about. So maybe telling us a little bit about where you went to school, what you studied, how you financed it, excuse me, if what you studied equated to the career you're actually in right now. Does your career require grad school, just as a way for them to know how long it takes to be trained for the career you're in? Maybe if you're getting into the details of your job, think a little bit about how you might explain it to a 5th grader. Not that these guys are 5th graders, but I know you're very specialized. And so like a basic overview would be great. Maybe a little bit about your day-to-day. Would be wonderful, or any interesting story. So I'll call on each of you if you could take maybe 2 or 3 minutes in the interest of time to get through some of that, knowing that you're looking at an audience of 11th and 12th graders. Alec, if you don't mind, I'll start with you.
Sure. So I originally attended the University of Vermont between 2009 and 2013, and I graduated with 2 degrees, one in economics and another in political science. And when I graduated college, what I really wanted to do was sort of get into public policy. But as I started applying for jobs, I realized that I really enjoyed being in front of a computer and also working with people. So I ended up working for a software company that works with beverage companies like any sort of soft drink or hard drink you can really think of. And that helped me realize that the 2 things I really enjoyed doing were working with people and then using software to kind of make people's lives easier. I left that company and joined Collins Aerospace because I wanted to get into more business development, which for any of those who are kind of unsure what that means, is business development is really facilitating the building of relationships between clients and our company and trying to make proposals that satisfy our company's financial needs, as well as satisfy whatever the customer's expectations are. So what I currently do is we'll get customers like Boeing or Airbus or JetBlue, United, and they'll say, hey, we have 200 aircrafts, maybe Boeing 737s, and over the next 15 years, we're going to need these 200 parts replaced regularly. And then so part of my job is helping to build the contract that 1 is going to make sure that we cover everything that they want, and then 2 is financially viable for us. So I really like the position I'm in now because I do get to work with people from all sources of our business in terms of contracts, engineering, airline professionals, as well as the client themselves, and really help foster those relationships. I did go to grad school. I got my MBA from Norwich University and graduated with that last year. I would say in my profession, in sort of the aerospace industry, graduate school is not necessarily a requirement, but if you're really interested in sort of moving up roles, especially if you're interested in a management path like I am, it would definitely be something you would want to pursue. So again, don't think of it as a requirement, but I would say for anyone with really lofty career ambition goals, grad school is definitely something you should be looking into.
Thank you very much. Aamina, would you let us know a little bit about you?
Yes, sure. So as I said earlier, am a lawyer, and I have a bit of a different background here because I grew up in India and moved here, well, many years ago after I finished a bachelor's degree in India. And so I did a bachelor's in political science. I moved here with my family. Took about a year to figure out, what did I want to do? I have a lot of lawyers and doctors in my family, so I decided to go the legal path and ended up applying to Pace Law School, which is sort of next door in White Plains. Got in and did a 3-year, what's known as a Juris Doctor degree, which is gets you to the path of becoming a lawyer. So I did a full-time 3-year JD degree program at Pace Law School in White Plains. Now you can also do a 4-year program, which is very convenient for people who are working and don't have time during the day to attend law school. So after finishing the 3-year degree, I had what's known as a JD degree. But in order to actually practice law, one has to take the bar exam. And so typically, once you graduate from law school, you basically spend your entire summer after graduation from law school studying for the bar exam. And you can take the bar exam for whichever state you would like to practice in. Each state has its own exam. So I ended up studying for both the Connecticut and New York bar exams and took that exam over a course of 3 days in New York City and in Stamford. And then you wait several months before you find out whether you passed the bar exam or not. And then when I found out, I think many months down the road, that I had in fact passed both Connecticut and New York bar exams, then I was officially able to practice law. So after getting that certification, I worked for a few years up in New Haven in the court system as a clerk to judges who decide cases in the courts. And then after doing that for about 2 years, I actually got a job in Stamford working for a law firm and practicing as an attorney for a few years with a law firm in Stamford, handling mostly zoning type cases, land use appeals, going to court, as well as going to planning and zoning hearings, that kind of a thing. And then an opportunity came up here in the town of Greenwich, in the town attorney's office where I currently work, for an attorney. So the town was looking for an assistant town attorney. I applied, and I've been here for 20 plus years. And basically every day here is different. I work in town hall, which means all my clients are right here. I represent elected officials, town officials, town employees, from the fire department to the police department to Board of Selectmen, to everybody who works for the town of Greenwich. So I may come in thinking, okay, today I'm going to spend time working on the papers that need to be filed in a court case, but somebody might walk in and say, I have a quick question. Do you have a minute for me? The answer may not necessarily be quick to get, but we cater to the client as attorneys. And so, of course, you drop everything and you say, yes, how can I help you? So you really have to be able to juggle different things and be available for the client. So that is really a very brief summary of what I do. You know, I appear in court on behalf of the town. I enjoy doing jury cases, talking to juries when they come in to serve in Stamford. I really love the interaction with people. And I think that's something you should keep in mind if you're a people person and just enjoy, you know, giving advice and thinking on your feet and being there for whatever questions might get thrown your way. I would definitely encourage you to consider law as a path.
Thank you very much. We do have some students in the room who are considering law as a path. Very helpful. Leslie.
Hi, so I am a registered nurse, and as I mentioned, and I actually graduated from Greenwich High School a long time ago, as did our two children. And I attended Georgetown University, and I knew when I was going off to college that I wanted to work in healthcare. I was fascinated by science, and I really wanted to work with people and help people. So I started off in the biology pre-med program there, and then kind of quickly realized that that wasn't really the path I wanted to take. So I was able to transfer to the School of Nursing, and pretty soon thereafter realized that that was a good fit for me. I paid for college in kind of an unusual way. I was one of 5 children and the third one to go to college. And the 3 of us all chose private schools. And at some point, my parents just said to us, we can't really afford this anymore. And so I pursued an Army ROTC scholarship, and I got it. And so and I did that at the very beginning of my sophomore year. And so the U.S. Army paid for most of my expenses for college for the final 3 years. But it wasn't for free, obviously. I had to pay them back with 4 years of active duty and 2 years of reserve duty. And luckily, that was back in the mid-'80s when the world was pretty much at peace. There were skirmishes here and there, but I never had to go to combat, so I feel lucky about that. Part of the reason why that worked for me was because I knew that I was going to be a nurse, and the Army needed nurses, and I knew that's what I was going to be doing, just in an Army hospital somewhere. It's not a good fit for everybody. It worked out for me. And so that's how I paid for it. And then I was stationed out in San Francisco after I graduated, and I did my 4 years of active duty out there at an Army Medical Center. And I worked just as a nurse on a floor, like I would have been in, you know, a civilian hospital somewhere after graduation. I got great experience. I still had to do the Army stuff, but it was okay. And then after I finished in the Army, I started working in what we call obstetrical nursing, which basically means that you're helping to deliver babies. So for the next 20 years in California and Chicago, and also here at Greenwich Hospital, I worked along with the physicians in labor and delivery to help deliver babies, which was pretty fun and a little stressful. So let's see, after that, about 8 years ago, I decided that I was ready for another change. And I had pursued my master's degree when I was living and working in Chicago. And I paid for that because the hospital at the time was fully reimbursing for tuition. So I worked part-time and went to school part-time and finished my master's. And that qualifies me to teach as an adjunct professor. So I've been teaching nursing school now for about 8 years. UConn is where I've been most consistently. I've also taught at Sacred Heart in Fairfield. And I actually teach nursing students in the hospital. So I'm teaching them to take care of patients. I love taking care of patients. And I actually really love teaching nursing students to take care of patients as well. I feel like I'm shaping our future nurses. And with the pandemic, nursing has come much more into the spotlight now. And you may have heard that there's a nursing shortage. Nursing is a really flexible, hireable career, and there's lots of different things you can do with it. As you've noticed, I've done a lot of different things. And there's different ways that you can get there. One is to go right into a 4-year bachelor's nursing program right out of high school. Another option is to go to a 2-year nursing program, like NCC has an excellent one, as does Westchester and a couple other community colleges around here. You can go for 2 years and get your associate's degree, and then pursue your bachelor's after that while you're working. And some of the hospitals will even pay for that. And I've noticed that more and more hospitals are also hiring the associate degree nurses right now because there is a shortage. If you're not sure whether you're going to be, well, you're interested in nursing but not sure, the other way to go is to go to NCC or a place like that and become a certified nurse's aide, and then you can work in healthcare as a nurse's aide, also very hireable, and kind of try it out. And then if you decide you want to do that, you can go into a nursing program. So as I said, what I do on a daily basis is we actually take care of patients in the hospital. I work alongside the students, and I'm teaching the skills and concepts that they need to care for patients. So that's what I do. I hope I answered all those questions.
You did. You answered lots of questions. With my first baby, and you were volunteering in Cantor House too.
Oh yes.
Domna, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so I went to Greenwich High, was in AVID. Although I was pushed very hard in AVID, I didn't focus in high school as much as I should have. So I went to a small school in New Hampshire for a year, focused, got all A's, and then had the option to really go wherever I wanted after that. It's a lot easier to transfer once you've already gone to school. So I went out to Boulder, Colorado, to CU Boulder. It was great. I definitely suggest, if you have the opportunity, go to a college where you can experience more than just a college, studying and college parties. Like what I liked about Boulder was I went hiking, I went snowboarding, I would go to the creek, and I made friends that lived in the town of Boulder. So if you have the opportunity, I definitely suggest it. I studied journalism and another major in creative writing. And then my minor was technology, arts, and media, where I did a lot of web development, digital design. I worked through school. I worked at a restaurant where I paid my rent, paid my bills that way. And then I always did another job that was correlated to my resume. So like I did the school paper. I worked for an app doing like marketing, writing, things of that nature. And then I moved to New York City because I wanted to be a writer and pursue writing. So I moved to New York, and finding a job was really difficult. And I was extremely poor and living in a closet. And then I finally got a job, and I remember sitting, walking out of work. I was an editor for some marketing company making really nothing. And I was like working 2 jobs at this time. And I was like, I didn't go to college to work 2 jobs when I graduate. And I left work and I was like, I didn't talk to one person at work all day. This is a bit depressing. So I'll go to the dog park. I have a dog. I overshared about my life and how I know how to code, but I don't want to be a coder. And I don't know what to do with this experience. And this woman at the dog park miraculously told me about this job position called a sales development representative for a SaaS company. So it's essentially entry-level software sales. You don't need, actually my old manager didn't even get a college degree, who was an SDR manager, but it doesn't matter what your background is. If you have a passion to sell and you have a passion to be in tech, you can move up and make a ton of money doing software sales. And the kid I mentor, who's a college student in AVID, I'm helping him interview right now for this position. So I started doing that. And then I moved into a more technical role, still in sales. It's called sales engineering. So there's the salespeople, and then they don't really know coding or web development. So they bring my team in to go through, build things with customer data, answer technical questions. So it's a really even mix of selling and technical skills, which is very contrasting personality type. So it's a little bit difficult to hire. So my old company got bought out, switched companies, moved up pretty quickly. Now I'm managing a team of 7 sales engineers, which is pretty exciting. It's also only 14% women in sales engineering. So I try to pave the way for other women in my career path. You don't need a graduate degree. And my suggestion is learn hard skills in college, like build your resume, learn hard skills. The reason I got the jobs I did was knowing web development. If you are creative, but you're like, I should do marketing, but you really want to make money, like a lot of money, go into user experience design. Like there's so many different paths that you can take in tech that you don't need someone to recommend you for a job. You don't need your dad to get you a referral. You don't need a certain degree. Like anyone can get a job in tech if you know what to apply for and you have the desire. So my suggestion, learn hard skills. Tech is awesome. I work from home. My company took me to Cabo, Mexico for being a top salesperson. Like I work from all over the country, all over the world, Brazil, Argentina, Morocco. I travel a lot. I paid off most of my student loans from working in tech. And yeah, my parents, I was an AVID. My parents I did not come from money, and I built myself up. So I'm a big advocate of tech. If any of you ever have questions about anything in the tech world, what programs you should be applying to, what majors, let me know. And I'm happy to help out. So that's my journey in a nutshell.
Thank you, Domna. I'm gonna just keep you actually on the mic for a second here, Domna. I think you started to answer this question a bit in your background, but one of our kiddos here was wondering if you could go back and do it all over again, what would you do differently? And I'm gonna add in or what would you do the same?
Yeah, so I actually thought about this recently because I'm reading a book that was triggering the thought of what you regret in life. And I really don't regret anything because I want to be where I am today, and I'm in a very good place. What I wish I did was I wish I took more computer science programs in college or classes in college. I didn't focus as much as I should have in those classes because I was working so much. And at Boulder, it was, they had like 24-hour turnarounds for projects because it wasn't expected that kids work, and I did work. So I wish I paid a little bit more attention in some of those classes. And end up when you work in tech, people do help you. Like you learn throughout your job. But if I could do something differently, I would really pay attention. I would continue to intern. Like that was huge. I would definitely recommend interning and finding, I did a lot of different jobs. I've done pretty much, a lot of different jobs. And that's how I figured out what I like doing. So don't worry to try a job. If you don't like it, great, you learn something from it. So something I would definitely recommend is You know, even working in a restaurant, I learned that I really like talking to people. Working for an app, you know, there's parts of it I liked, parts of it I didn't like. Sales, parts I liked, didn't like. I was a brand ambassador. I've done a lot of different jobs. So do a lot of different jobs, meet a lot of people, and don't be afraid also to just be open about not knowing what you want to do, because that's how I got the job, was just being vulnerable at the dog park, and it led me to where I am today. So yeah.
That's so helpful, because you know what it's like, probably more specifically than anyone else in this panel right now, like sitting in this classroom, like with me, trying to figure out and make the best decisions for yourself for the rest of your life when you're a senior in high school. And that's a big task. So not knowing is okay, right?
Yep.
You'll figure it out along the way, try lots of things, take the opportunities in front of you. Thank you. Aamina, we've got a question for you as well up here. Actually, we have a couple for you, but I'll start with this one. We're a lot of kids here also identify with coming from a different background other than from the United States, whether they were born here or not. But this person was wondering, would you say that being from a different background makes law like a more competitive field for you to be in? And how do you manage like to persevere through difficult moments when you're trying to achieve a goal, you know, when there might be sort of that like different understanding from your own growing up process?
That's a great question. So being from India and moving here was what I'll call a bit of a culture shock. You know, even though I spoke English, language was not a barrier, but just coming to a whole different world, and then going to law school and living in a dorm, and just never having lived outside of my family home in India with my grandparents and my parents and extended family was a huge shock to the system. But you know, it took some time for me to get used to what I'll call the Western world and the Western way of doing things. And as I, you know, got used to being in school with kids who hardly anybody looked like me or spoke like me, even though we live in a very metropolitan area. You know, it was different and a bit of a challenge, but I think you adjust and you try to figure out the commonalities between where you came from and where you are now, and make the best of it. And we are so, I think, blessed to live and be educated in an area where we are now. And especially all of you at Greenwich High School, I can tell you, you're getting just a fabulous education. I have a son who's a freshman in high school. So, you know, I can tell you from a personal perspective, in that sense, you have nothing to worry about. You have people looking out for you every day. But I think in terms of being different, yes. So whether I'm looking at a court case or interacting with elected officials or with the public here in town because they have an issue that they would like the town and its lawyers to address, I would say I bring sort of a broader perspective, and just, you know, if you can bring a more global perspective to everything you do in your everyday life, I think you have a huge plus and a huge advantage over others who maybe have not been outside of what I'll call this metropolitan area. So if you come from a family with a different background, or whether you moved here from a different country, I would say definitely use that to your advantage, because it gives you a broader perspective and a better understanding, I think, of people who are different from you. And if other people are having maybe a bit of a difficult time understanding who you are, do not be shy to explain your perspective on things. So I would definitely use that as an advantage.
Thank you. That's a really helpful way of looking at it, that what makes you different a positive. And that's wonderful. Leslie, I've got a question for you here too. You know, we've got a few students who are interested in careers in healthcare, from nursing to psychology, to pre-med, potentially a major in biology, similar to how you started. But, you know, as you said, there is a little bit of a nursing shortage right now. It's a career that's in demand, which is a wonderful opportunity, but maybe also because the demands on nurses are so high. So one student was wondering about the mental health aspects that like nurses deal with in their daily routine, in their jobs as they're taking care of patients. If you could kind of speak to that from the perspective of a nurse.
Wow, what a good question. I think that one thing that the pandemic has taught us, I mean, it's taught us a lot of things, but one really important thing is that, you know, in the time that I've been a nurse and, you know, for a long time, maybe since the last war, there was never such a widespread mental health issue among healthcare providers as there was during the pandemic, because it was like the stress level of everyone, doctors, nurses, nurses' aides, respiratory therapists, like everybody involved in taking care of the patients was just so beyond anything that we have ever experienced before. And I think as a result of that, the mental health support that's provided for healthcare providers has really been boosted because it needed to be. It was always sort of there, but I think it's much stronger than it used to be. And one thing that, you know, we teach in nursing school, and hopefully they do in medical school, I've never taught medical school, so I don't know, but one thing we teach in nursing schools that it's really, really important to take care of yourself. And we help young nurses recognize signs that, you know, they're too stressed, that it's too much for them, that they're having trouble dealing with things. And it's really important to be able to recognize that in yourself and take care of yourself, confront those things and get help when needed. And that help is much more accessible now, I think, than it's ever been. And it wasn't just healthcare, obviously, healthcare workers that had mental health issues during the pandemic. I mean, it was widespread. And as a result, I think that the awareness is greater and the support systems are better. So, and we're also sort of trained as nurses to keep an eye out for each other and for our colleagues as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so that level of collaboration with each other and having a community to work with in person is really special as you're entering the workforce now. So much shifting to remote work. Alec, we are 1 minute away from the bell ringing here.
Okay.
I was wondering if you could give us one piece of advice. Imagine talking to yourself as a senior in high school about to set off into your college, graduate school path, career. What would you say your advice would be?
For anyone attending college, number one, go to class. Go to class. You will have the opportunity to not go to class. You will very much not want to go to class. Go to class. Just go. Take your notes, go. Two, when you're looking at potential careers, really think about not just what you want to do for work, but how you want work to fit into your life. Personally, I work so that I can live. I don't live so that I can go to work. So I took a job and a compensation package that allows me the flexibility to live my life. I work from home and I had offers to go to different areas around the country with higher base compensation, but less flexibility in what I want to do. And lastly, in the last few seconds, there are going to be setbacks in your career. You're going to face adversity. Things are not going to go how you planned. Don't worry about it. Just bet on yourself. Continue to do like Domna said, work on hard skills, talk to people. But when things go wrong, you just dust yourself off, pick yourself back up, and keep going. And I promise you, if you work hard and try and network, it's going to work out for you.
We love your advice. Everybody's saying thank you as they're leaving. Do you guys want to wave goodbye and say thank you? We appreciate
Bye, everybody. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, all of our panelists. You guys were amazing. I appreciate it. This recording will be really a great resource for other students. And thank you for your time. And thanks, Missy, for moderating. You do such a nice job. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you for doing this.
And also,
Thank
wait,
you.
one thing before all the students do have your emails. Is it okay
Good.
if they
Yeah,
email you
absolutely.
any questions? Is that all right?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Thanks
Okay.
again. Have a
Thank
great day,
you.
everybody.